Kyle,
Hey.
what are you doing on December 8th?
At the moment, I've got something.
Yeah.
I know I've got something.
Yeah.
It's something big.
Something really big.
Man. I know you wouldn't be asking me to do this. It's the highball cocktail competition.
It is the highball cocktail competition.
That's in St. Pete.
It is in St. Pete.
Friday, December 8th. Yes.
Friday, December 8th from 6 to 10 p.m. This is the exclusive cocktail competition of Tampa Bay.
Bring it on.
I know. We're being invited by our friends from Beam Centauri and Creative Loafing, which is a local magazine, to attend the event.
Well, I can't wait to attend.
I can't wait to attend either. And honestly, I would love all of our listeners to attend as well.
Indeed.
This is a challenge to local bartenders and mixologists to get creative with their favorite highball cocktail.
Fantastic.
I know. And guess who gets to sample them?
Hopefully me.
And me.
Oh, yeah.
And anyone else who attends.
Yeah.
You know how you can attend?
I would imagine you're going to need a ticket.
You got to get yourself a ticket.
Yeah, that'll make sense.
You know where you get a ticket?
Nope.
Highballtampabay.com.
Easy enough.
It's spelled exactly like it sounds.
Yep. A night of drinking cocktails. What could be better?
Not a whole lot. I can't think of anything.
Yeah.
And you know what's cool, though? It's before all of the festivities of the winter holidays.
Sure.
So you can get a lot of creative ideas going into all of those great parties you're going to have.
Yeah, surely there's going to be some festive ideas there.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So again, that's highballtampabay.com. Grab your tickets and we'll see you guys there.
Indeed.
Hey, welcome to the Dreppin' Stone podcast, the podcast where two friends raise a glass and have a conversation. You're Kyle.
And I'm Nick. You're Nick.
I knew it. As soon as I was like, I'm going to see what happens, I knew I was going to get you.
I got Nick right.
You did, but you
Wrong.
got the pronoun wrong. Yeah, that's okay. Hey,
attribution.
before we actually start the episode, Kyle,
Yeah.
we always put this at the very end, and I think some people miss it.
What's that?
A mention about how you can support the podcast.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because we always mention at the end. It's pretty much the end of every episode, except
Right.
you know what? It wasn't at the end of the last two episodes. I don't know what we did wrong.
Really?
Yes. So
Whiffed.
we're going to highlight it now.
All right.
Before we start everything.
All right.
We'd love it if you go and support Dreppin' Stone.
Yeah, what did you think about this episode?
Well, what do you think about the last couple of episodes?
Yeah, sure.
Because let's be honest.
What do you think you're going to think about this episode?
Right. You know how
You've seen the title. You know what it's about.
you probably read the, what do they call that?
Blurb.
Yeah, the blurb. You probably read the blurb underneath the title.
Maybe. Or you just saw our handsome mugs and just said, yep, I'm listening to that.
Yeah. You can support the podcast by rating Dreppin' Stone wherever it is you find great podcasts. And if you're going to do that, hopefully listen to an episode before you do that, because you want to get the full experience.
Oh, yeah, totally. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just take a few seconds.
Couple thumbs.
Yeah. Some stars.
Sure.
Maybe some kind words.
Kind words are the best. That's all you got to do. Just don't write any kind words. Just write kind words.
Yeah,
Like,
just those two words.
Yeah.
Or you could also do some kind words.
Yeah,
like
sure.
Flowers.
Ooh.
Bunny rabbits.
Yeah.
Puppy dogs.
Eggplants.
Sure.
That might get us banned from iTunes.
Things. All kind of things.
You can also support the podcast by joining us on Patreon. That's patreon.com/DreppinStone. A couple of options going on there. Just keeps the lights on and the fans working and the recording machines recording.
Indeed.
And finally, the last way to support Dreppin' Stone, and Kyle, probably the easiest way, is to tell someone about Dreppin' Stone.
Yeah, reach out.
And touch someone.
Or, just let them know. Just say, hey, this is a cool podcast I listen to. You might like it.
And they go, what's a podcast?
And let go of my wrist.
Please. This is assault. Yeah, you see someone out listening to something on their earbuds.
Yep.
Just, take an earbud out. Excuse me, sir.
Yes, sir.
And or madam. What you listening to?
Billy Ray Cyrus.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Achy breaky?
Uh-huh.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I was alive in the 90s. I remember that.
Yeah, it's my favorite song.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Well, you know what?
Ever.
Oh, I've got a podcast that you might like to listen to.
No kidding.
Yeah, they don't really talk about Billy Ray Cyrus, but they do talk about...
Well, they have now.
Exactly. They do talk about whiskey and other things.
Oh, I do love whiskey.
And other things.
And other things.
You know what that podcast is called?
Enlighten me.
It's called Drep and Stone.
Wow.
DREP.
And Stone?
All one word. Well, sometimes, depending on where you go find it.
Sure.
On social media, it's all one word, but you know what I mean.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
Thanks for the heads up.
Actually, give me your phone real quick.
There you go.
Thank you. That was easier than I thought. I just met you and you're just
But
handing me
very
your phone.
trusting face.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I get that a lot. I'm just going to put it in there for you. And there you go. Here you go.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah. Have a great day.
Thank you. That was simple.
That's exactly how it works.
I wonder if that guy ever got his earbud.
Who knows? I got a question.
Hey.
When you go buy clothes,
Yep.
are you a person who goes to the store to buy clothes, or are you like an online person?
Hate online.
Really?
Yep.
Why?
Unless I know the brand well enough to know exactly which size I wear comfortably in that brand, I like to try it on first.
Gotcha.
I'm very much a try it on first, and then I'm never gonna, go to the hassle of trying it on at home. Nope, don't like it. Got to repackage it and send it back to you. Psh, nightmare. Like shoes. Like I would love to buy shoes online.
Yeah.
Don't trust it though. I want to try them on in store.
Don't trust
make
it.
sure I like it. Make
Okay.
sure the size is just right. Because like shoes specifically.
Yeah.
Because you can get in that half size range.
Sure.
And ooh, do I like it a little bit bigger? Do I like this one a little bit smaller? I have to try those on in the store.
Interesting.
Very, very specific.
Yeah.
You sound like you might be the opposite.
Well, I am 100% the opposite. Yeah.
Okay.
And I bring this up because I recently purchased a pretty large order from a company that shall not be named.
Oh, okay.
And they were running a sale. And I was like, yeah, I'm just going to stock up on things. And
Yep.
and here's like my MO, as you've seen my monochromatic dress as
Right.
a whole,
Right.
is like I buy pretty much one or two brands of things. And like I either like it or I grow to like it. And
Right.
like that's the thing that I like. And that's only with clothes and like toothpaste and like things like that. So I'll buy like a case,
Right.
or in the case of no, seriously, like, or the case of like
A gross.
y'all got pallets, I'll buy a pallet.
Hit me up.
Like if I find pants, I'm gonna buy like 4 of that same pant, maybe different colors, but like because I know it fits, I know I like it, I know
Right.
I know it's black or gray or blue.
Right.
But I say this because my experience this time was not great, because I purchased these clothes
Right.
in a size that I know that fits, that I have a ton of other clothes in this exact same size, and ain't nothing fit.
Huh.
And I was like, oh my God, is it me?
Something changed.
Yeah, well, did I change?
Right.
Like, I didn't change that much. So what's going on here? I've done a bit of research, and like certain big name brands that shall not be named, because their clothes are made all over the place, like there's very little consistency. So, I got to throw that crap in the box, and I got to take it to the UPS store, which is not that far away. But
still.
I got to do that.
Yeah.
Normally I'm okay with it, but I think it was like this time it's just like, dang. So like this was a hefty order, and I got to send the entire thing back.
Right.
Ugh, the
Yeah.
worst.
Hate it.
Yeah.
That's why I refuse.
But I also don't like to go shopping.
See, I don't mind shopping personally, especially if I know what I'm going for.
Mm-hmm.
Like if I know I'm, and I've only got a few stores that I'm going to get that item at anyway.
Right.
Like I can go to the grocery store, go in, get what I need specifically,
absolutely.
and get out.
Sure. Absolutely. Man after my own
I don't
heart.
go with my wife because I have a time limit, and I usually let her know at some point, honey, I'm really sorry, but I've reached my limit of how long I can be in the store. I got to go.
Yeah.
It's time for us to leave now. I got to leave.
Right.
I'm not enjoying this experience anymore. I need to leave.
For the sake of everyone involved and everyone in this store,
Yeah.
I need to go.
I need to go.
I need to go.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, I mean, I can go and like look specifically for the item that I'm in need of.
Sure.
And get this. So I would much
So
rather
you're going to
go
the
to the store.
Yeah.
Find those pants, put them on, take them home.
Wear them out.
No, maybe. Just leave the old pair in there. I'm done with these. That's your problem now.
These have seen their use. Trust me. You go in there, you look, you'll know. You'll know.
There's a garbage disposal in there.
You walk up to
Done.
the cash register.
Here's the tag.
Ring me up, please. Do you need that magnetic thing taken off? Nah, I'll figure it out. It's fine.
Is it going to set off an alarm? Yeah, you should probably do that. Here's my hip. Get it.
You want to drink something?
Yeah, I'm thirsty.
Okay. So I picked this up. These.
Oh,
I know. I
multiples.
picked these up on my trip to Texas.
You went to Texas.
I did, yeah.
Wellerland.
I went to well, I didn't see any Weller at all.
Seriously?
We talked about Wellerland, and I saw zero Weller.
Not a singular bottle.
Not a singular bottle. Nope. And that was the establishments that we went to.
Right.
That was at we went to a liquor store, didn't see anything, like nothing. Now, to be fair, like I wasn't on like the hunt.
Right, sure.
So I didn't go to many places, but like the places that I went to, I would have expected it to be there.
Right.
It wasn't there. So when I was at one of these big liquor stores, and it's, you know, it's kind of a wine totally situation.
Sure.
They had a bunch of little tasters. And the friends that I was with, we actually got a bottle of the Balcones Brimstone.
Yeah. Brimstone.
Yeah, we tried that. We drank our way through that. It was interesting.
Yeah.
I have some comments. I'll share those with you.
Okay.
Like, you want me to share them with you right now?
Sure.
Ain't nothing brimstone about brimstone. Ain't
Disappointing.
Ain't nothing peaty. Ain't nothing. I wouldn't say disappointing, just mislabeled.
Sure. But I mean, I would think a mislabeling situation is disappointing because there's an expectation that if it doesn't meet that,
Right.
that's disappointing.
Okay. Then in that case,
Maybe the drink was fine.
The drink was
if it had a
fine.
different name.
yes.
But your expectation is disappointing.
Perfect point. Yeah.
You know?
Overall, I was disappointed because the thing that I thought I was getting was not the thing that I got.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's fair to say disappointing. Even if what you got was okay.
Yeah.
And tasted fine.
It just
not the expectation.
because if I say, hey, this thing tastes like brimstone.
Yeah.
Or this thing is called brimstone.
Yeah, and there's flames all over the bottle.
Yeah. What
Black and red.
you expect it to be a certain, well, maybe a little bit of peatiness, maybe
Yeah.
a little bit of fire.
Some mesquite or something.
Yeah. Nope. At least not on my palate. And of the 3-4 of the people that were drinking it.
Right.
Yeah. Anyway, but at that store, they had a bunch of little tasters. We got some interesting, different, like local liquors, some interesting stuff. But I saw these two little bottles.
Yeah.
And these are the Port Askaig Isla single malt Scotch whiskeys.
Awesome sauce.
I know. And I was like, you know what? They're coming home with me.
Yeah.
And here's the reason why. Here in the U.S., you just put those in your carry-on and you're good to go. You don't have to check a bag or nothing.
Right.
Because I'm all about not checking bags if I don't have to.
Sure.
And
Especially a domestic flight.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
And so I found these and I was like, yes, because I've not had them. I don't think you've had the Port Askaig.
I don't think so.
And so guess what?
Give them a shot.
We're gonna do it.
What do you know about Port Askaig?
I'm glad you asked. You knew.
Set it on the tee for
did.
you.
And I'm gonna swing away.
Swing away, sir.
Okay. Port Askaig, sir. There are two main ports on the island of Isla.
Okay.
One is Port Ellen, and the other is Port Askaig. Most people that ferry to Island will probably go to Port Ellen. There might be other ports I'm just not aware of, but most people will ferry to Port Ellen. It's bigger. It's more of what you think of as a port.
Right.
Port Askaig is smaller. It's a little more local.
More industrial?
I think it's more fishing-ish.
For sure.
Yeah. Whereas Port Ellen's more industrial, more of like, not cruise ship port, but kind of, you know what I mean? Like,
Or just more commuter port.
Yeah. If you look at Isla, the Port Ellen area of Isla, which is like southern Isla, you're going to have your Lafroigs, your Lagavulins, and then just slightly north of that, Ardbeg.
Sure.
Okay. Kind of that middle section of Isla is where you get Brookladic, Bowmore, and Kikloman. They're all kind of in that middle section. And then at the very top of Isla, or pretty dang close to the top of Isla, you have two distilleries. That is Bunnahabhain and Colila.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And Port Askaig is just a little bit south of the Colila distillery.
Gotcha.
Now, notice what I didn't say, that Port Askaig is a distillery. Because it is not a distillery. The Port Askaig brand is bottled by the Elixir Distillers, and I think that's out of London. I think they're based in London. But it is sourced from Isla. This is not a distillery per se, even though they kind of label it as a distillery. If you look at the bottle, it says distilled and bottled in Scotland, but it doesn't necessarily say that Port Askaig is a distillery. So it's just a label. I say just a label. But I know from a little bit of research that most people think that it comes from the Colila distillery, which is right there very close to Portiscake.
Gotcha.
So it's a brand. It's one of those kind of brands that we've seen before that people do all the time of we're sourcing it from here, but it's some other juice.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Like, do you know, is it a situation of like where, like so it's from Coahuila?
Most people think it's from Coahuila.
And so I wonder if it's a situation of like, hey, here's our mash bill, our what we'd like to put together, make this for us, or is it more so Coahuila saying, we've got this stuff, who wants it?
Well, that's a great question that I don't know the answer to, but I do know this. Coahuila is part of a larger brand, which is kind of brands that you'll recognize: Johnny Walker, Cragganmore, the Singleton, Talisker, Oban, Mortlock, like all of these big brands. And Coahuila is under that big umbrella. And that's the malts brand, I think. I forget what it's actually called.
But I think Coahuila is part of Lagavulin. It's, what's it called?
Diageo. Yeah, it's Diageo. Yeah. But Coahuila is, from what I understand, they make they have their own bottlings.
Right.
But it's primarily we blend for others. I think it's something
that's
like
mostly what they do, but they still have their own label.
They have their own label, but like 75% of what they actually distill is bottled for other people.
Gotcha.
I don't know that specifically in terms of like that percentage, but I know that it's a pretty high percentage of what they distill for other people.
Right.
So they're blending a bunch of different things for other people. So we have two offerings here. We have the Portiscake 8-year and the Portiscake 110 proof. And from what I can tell, the Portiscake 110 proof is a blend of 7 to 9 year scotches. And obviously, the 8-year is, well, an 8-year. From, again, what most people are saying, it's a blend from Coahuila.
Gotcha.
Yep.
Cool.
It's an Isla single malt, and I think it's peaty Scotch season.
Yeah.
I don't know what that date and or whatever it is.
It's definitely a day for it.
It's definitely a day for it.
Yeah. We're having a nice overcast, drizzly day.
Yeah, which I think goes perfectly with our topic today, too.
Yeah, for sure.
And everyone else has already seen the topic.
Yep.
So we're going to talk about some UK-centric things.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah, it is very London-y weather outside.
What do you say we start with the 8-year?
Let's do it.
Did you hear that cork pop?
Yeah, that was really good. Sounded great. Ooh. Adorable.
Cute. This is not chill filtered, and no color is added, and it's clear.
No color on it.
Look at that thing, man.
Yeah, it is. Woo.
That is the lightest thing I've ever seen.
I was gonna say,
that
in terms of a
damn
whiskey,
near the light. No, not damn near. That is the lightest whiskey I've ever seen.
Yeah, agreed.
Wow, look at that.
I can't think of anything else even close.
That is vodka with like a. I've seen gins darker than this.
Yeah.
Like, wow.
Totally.
That's like you put vodka in a dirty glass.
Yeah.
And you're like,
it's like champagne colored.
Brute.
Yeah.
Wow, man. There's we used to say like Peat Monster was one of the lightest things.
Right.
Nope.
Yeah, I'd be curious. I was thinking the same thing. Like Peat Monster was really light.
This is lighter than an Irish whiskey.
Yeah.
Like Irish whiskeys tend to be on the lighter side. This thing is damn near clear.
Yeah, it's real close, man.
That's impressive.
I guess.
And it's
like there's no char on that barrel.
But it's an 8-year. And no, these are ex-bourbon barrels.
Man, they got everything out of it. They shaved them down.
Wow. That makes me really, really interested in the other scotches. Like, are they adding color?
Yeah.
You got some scotches that are
unless they say it.
Dark AF.
Unless they say that it's not.
Yeah. Wow. All right. On the nose?
It smells gorgeous.
It does. There's some like really nice little peat pop there.
Yeah, touch of peat, but like mostly very floral and pretty.
Fruity?
Yeah, touch of fruit.
Like apples and maybe some stone fruit kind of stuff, like peaches.
For me, it's like mostly like almost like botanical-y. It's like more like the blossoms off of the fruit tree.
Yeah, I can see that. That makes sense.
Yeah, it's like very flowery.
With some really nice like bready malty notes.
Yeah.
Pastry-esque, like not quite there, but like you walk into like a patisserie.
Sure.
They're making breads and they're making stuff with fruits and sugars and stuff. Like, I get all of that.
Yep. I'm starting to get some honey, like some bright honey.
I mean, this is like, it's bright.
Yep.
Nothing dark and brooding.
It's shiny.
A little bit of salt air.
Yeah, for sure.
But like sea breeze, like you're driving like 50 miles from the ocean.
Yeah.
And like you just happen
on the
like,
coast.
What is that?
You're just off the coast.
Yeah. Man, I like it.
Yeah.
Shall we?
Indeed. It's a bit of a curveball, but it reminds me of Bowmore.
It does.
My experience of Bowmore.
Yep.
It leans, surprisingly, really hard into the bitter and the oak.
And the dry,
Yeah, very. It's definitely a drier whiskey.
The ABV on the 8-year is 45.8.
91.6.
There's not a whole lot of complexity there. Like, the complexity is held up by the peat, but it's the kind of peat, unlike the barbecue, which just hangs on forever.
Right.
It's the kind of peat that you can tell after about 3 sips, it's basically dissipated.
It's interesting where it, like, the initial sip, it does start sweet, like confectionery sweet. And you think it's going to, like, evolve there, but it's really quickly overtaken by that oaky bitter.
Yeah.
The barrel note, and that barrel note just overwhelms everything on the back end, which again is why I think it reminds me of Bowmore. I just remember Bowmore being the same way of just very bitter all the way through, with that peat almost being like a bitter peat.
Yeah.
And this has like a very similar aesthetic to it. It feels like it's gonna open up, and it feels like it's gonna evolve. But that bitter just like
it never
closes the lid on it,
there.
and it's like, nope, this is all you got.
It never gets there. Yeah, you're headed. I'm gonna say it's one note, but it's like, okay, here you go. We're gonna give you some other things, and then it just closes it off. There's nothing to write home about. It's nothing complex, but I don't dislike it.
Yeah, no, it's a fine pour. It's lovely. The notes that it has are really nice.
Yeah.
But yeah, it does definitely feel like it's going to open up and do some kind of a really interesting evolution. But that bitter just comes in and just like, nope, stay right here.
Yep.
Don't go anywhere. And then that literally is the taste all the way through to the end.
Yeah. I will say this. I love the mouthfeel of this. I think it's like that perfect balance of it's not super thick and clingy. It's not really watery. It's silky, man.
Yeah, it is.
That is.
Silky's a good word.
That to me that's the best part of it.
Yeah.
Like I love the peaty nature, but it's that like just spot on middle of the road mouthfeel.
Yeah. Well, I'll say, like, there's a time and place for just a really simple whiskey.
Yeah.
You're not looking for a big challenging ride. You're just looking for something that's like comfortable.
Yeah.
It's quite comfortable.
It's quite comfortable. There it is.
Yeah. I mean, if I have to, like, go like, do I love it? Do I hate it?
Yeah.
I'm definitely more so on the I love it.
I grade it. I grade it. I get it.
I don't hate it by any means.
Yeah.
Is it something that I would like? Yeah, I need a whole bottle of that.
That was going to be my question.
Not.
Like, based on this experience, would you buy a bottle of it?
No, probably not, because at the same time, a full bottle of that, I could probably also get a full bottle of Ardbeg 10. Mm-hmm. I could probably get a full bottle of Lafroig 10. Sure. And I'd probably go there first.
Yep.
Or I could get a, Port Charlotte.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anything in that range.
That $70-ish range, or maybe a little below. Yeah.
Well, I mean, even if this is 40,
sure.
Ardbeg 10's not much above that. It's like 50, I think. I feel like I could probably go somewhere I'd rather have a little bit more going on.
But I definitely wouldn't turn it down.
Yeah, not for sure.
Yeah. I mean, somebody's got this. Yeah.
Yeah. I wouldn't be opposed to.
Nope.
Oh, you got that? Yeah, sure. I'll take some.
Yeah. I agree.
Yep.
Kyle.
Nick.
Guess what? What? We have finally done a big podcast thing.
What's that?
We have partnered with someone.
A partner, you say?
I know. A little company called Flaviar.
I've heard of Flaviar.
Have you?
I bet you've heard of Flaviar.
I definitely have heard of Flaviar.
No, not you, our listeners.
Oh, well, they have now.
Yeah, for sure.
Flaviar is that company that will send you occasionally, depending on how you want to engage in their membership, a couple of bottles of fancy whiskey.
Yeah, little taster samples so that you can get a better overall experience with your whiskey.
Absolutely. And you know what they're doing right now?
What's that?
They're doing their whiskey advent calendar.
Man, that's going to put me in the holiday spirit.
I'm already in the holiday spirit because, we're drinking spirits.
Yeah, spirits. Yeah, got it.
In our Flaviar Glencairn.
Oh.
I know, it's fancy.
Can't beat that.
I know. If you're over on the social medias, you can probably see some upcoming ideas or some upcoming stuff with the Flaviar Advent Calendar.
Indeed.
And if you want to grab your own Flaviar membership, maybe even your own Flaviar Advent Calendar, because, you're looking for last minute gifts.
Totally. We can help you out with that.
We can. And you can use our promo code, all one word. It's DREP, DREP, and STONE, STONE. Really simple.
Yeah, we like to keep it simple.
Yeah, we do as much as we can. So check out what Flaviar has to offer. And not only are you getting great whiskey, you're also supporting your favorite podcast.
Everybody gets helped out on that one.
Absolutely. All right, I'm going to go crack open the new Flaviar Advent Calendar date.
Okay.
You want to join me?
Okay.
All right. Before we move on and we try the 110 proof, what do you want to talk about this week?
I recently just watched a little documentary on Netflix that just came out recently.
Uh-huh.
I really enjoyed it. I told you, I think this is really good. We should probably do an episode on this. And that's the David Beckham documentary.
Yeah.
I don't know the name of it.
I think it's just called Beckham.
Was it just Beckham?
Yeah. Because Becks wouldn't be appropriate.
Sure. And I went into that documentary knowing very little about David Beckham, other than just like his public persona of, he's a famous soccer player, football star,
right,
from England, married to a Spice Girl. Like, that's just kind of all I really knew about the guy.
Yeah.
Just because when he was at his height athletically, I wasn't into soccer in any way, shape, or form. So really just didn't know anything about him literally at all. I just knew that he was famous for being a soccer player and he was married to Posh Spice.
Right.
That was it.
And when you said, hey, this is interesting, and it like literally came up on my feed of like, you're going to like this. I was like, I'll watch that. And then when you said about it, I was like, okay, I'm going to really watch that.
Right.
And yeah, same experience. Like for me, obviously the height of his athletic career, mid 90s to early 2000s. Obviously he was playing before and a little bit after that too, right. But like the real height of his career, my understanding of him was famous guy, good looking. I remember for whatever reason conflating David Beckham and Brad Pitt, because they in that mid 90s they had a very similar look,
right?
Like when Pitt did Fight Club, like his head was shaved,
right?
David Beckham shaved his head.
Similar vibe.
They kind of had the same kind of thing going on, and
right.
For whatever reason, just because maybe it was my age or I knew nothing of football at that point, sometimes they occupy the same spot,
right?
But yeah, same idea. Like football guy, sports guy. He's on the Wheaties box. He's everywhere,
right?
And he's married to a Spice Girl.
And there's a movie that has his name on it,
right?
Where you like to bend it like him.
Did they mention that movie at all?
No, not really.
Not
the documentary. No.
I think they might have mentioned like the bending it like Beckham,
right? But
then they never actually showed what that really meant,
right?
Like other than the dude can kick a ball and
bend it.
But they didn't really address that. Okay. Bend It Like a Beckham. That's the one where Will Smith coaches a youth soccer team. Is that Bend It Like Beckham?
I don't think so.
Not Will Smith. Will Ferrell. They're very clearly
my goalie's name out your motherfucking mouth. I don't think he did that one. No, yeah, Will Ferrell.
Yeah.
No,
that's not that one.
No.
Oh, okay.
It's Big Green.
No,
that's the soccer one from the kid from Sandlot.
What was the Will Ferrell one? Kicking and Screaming.
Sure.
Yeah.
Never saw that one either.
Me neither. I just knew it was a movie. But Keira Knightley was in that, right?
Yeah. And what? Bend It Like Beckham?
No, Kicking and Screaming.
Nah, maybe. I don't know.
2000, early 2000s, yeah.
No clue. Yeah.
I thought
literally that would
but
be another thing that would be like, that's how I know you, is I know that movie. I've never seen the movie.
I've never seen the movie either.
I know Keira Knightley was in it, and that was like one of her first,
very early Keira Knightley.
Yeah, like first roles. I remember that movie coming out and that kind of being a joke of bending it like Beckham.
Yeah.
But never saw the movie, so like even that, I just kind of knew of him very much in periphery.
Yeah.
Just didn't know anything about him. So, but loving English culture, having been to London a few times, loving Ted Lasso. That was something that when I saw it, I was like, oh, yeah, you know what? I would like to know more about that guy. Because I know he's probably somebody that I should know, but I don't. So I'm definitely interested.
Yeah, same. Because of Ted Lasso, and not that I watch football now. Like I'm not a big soccer fan.
Right.
But I like Ted Lasso.
Right.
And I think that's my entry point. I don't think I'm going to become a soccer fan.
Sure.
Like rugby's as close as I'm going to get.
Yeah.
But watching this documentary kind of scratch that Ted Lasso itch a little bit.
Yeah.
That, what did you say? Anglophile?
Yeah.
Like that Eurocentric, England specific kind of idea.
Yeah.
I was like,
British Bake Off.
Yeah.
I do love British
Do,
retcon.
do you? I
haven't
can't.
watched the last 2 episodes, but
I
do
want to get
enjoy
into it, but for some reason I can't. Like I don't know what it is.
it feels like a holiday show to me now.
Yeah.
Because like when I it was during COVID times.
Sure.
Of that we plowed through every season that was available, and it was probably around the holidays when we did that.
Yeah.
So it just feels holiday-ish to me now.
Yeah.
But I think anything too, just like that's like that English culture of things that are just like prim and proper.
Yeah.
And like the gingham altar, you know,
Yes,
and like
yeah.
just things like that, and like just the clear love of baking that emanates through this culture. Like I dig those things about English culture.
Is Mary Berry part of that?
She was one of the original judges.
Okay.
Her and Paul Hollywood were the first 2 original judges.
Gotcha. Okay.
And then she dropped off after a while.
She's still alive, right?
Maybe.
Okay. Because I really like Mary Berry.
Yeah. And she's like very grandmotherly.
Yes.
And
very prim, proper English woman.
yeah, I think she was the better judge over the Prue is the judge now, the female judge. And it's always sad to go through that series, and every time they change hosts a little bit, and you get really used to those people,
Right.
and then when they change it, you're like, ugh. But then after like 2 or 3 episodes, you're kind of like, all right, they're kind of good too. I like them. But yeah, Mary Berry was great.
Yeah. She has a great Christmas pudding recipe that just it takes like 6 hours to make.
Yeah.
It's fantastic.
Yeah.
It's like sticky and delicious.
All right, so the documentary, it starts, I think, really brilliantly by like showing, kind of highlighting this shot that David Beckham made
Oh yeah.
in a game that was kind of something. The way they make it seem, it's like all the greats have attempted this like kind of like half court shot.
Yeah.
And
He was his coach at the time, Sir Alex
sure,
something, basically frowned upon it, and essentially David Beckham was a rebel
right
in doing this. He was like, what do I have to lose?
Well, it just kind of seems like one of those things. It's almost like a Steph Curry type of a shot. Of like, I'm just going to try this crazy thing, and maybe it hits. And the way that they presented it too, like other great soccer players have also attempted this same kind of shot of just like, it's almost kind of like a wasted offensive opportunity because like you're taking this wild half court, half
midway, midfield,
shot,
yeah.
That is obviously highly unlikely to land, but he landed it.
Yeah.
he got the goal from it, and it's like freaking glorious just to watch it actually like play out, and to see all these other people who have tried it and things. It's like, damn, that really is impressive. So I think like right off the bat, it gives you this like, okay, this was not just your average soccer player.
Yeah, he's not a fluke.
Yeah, and I think that was like such a great way to start the documentary of like, hey, here's this epically cool thing that he did.
And come to find out, like that shot is actually a little bit into his tenure with Manchester United.
Right.
Because before that, they kind of, move back to the beginning of his career and then start talking about the beginning of his time with Manchester United. I mean, they go through his like childhood, but like he wasn't a favorite per se. Like he wasn't someone, like he was good and that he was doing well, but like it was that shot that kind of like put him in the limelight.
Yeah, I mean, I think he was always highly like sought after.
Yeah.
I mean, he signed with Manchester United when he was like 13 or 14.
Yeah, so like really young.
Yeah. Like, so I mean, he was, I mean, I don't even know how you can tell like from a professional sport at that age that you're just like, yep, that kid's gonna be great.
Yeah.
Just because like so much can change and happen. Like at that point in time, he wasn't even like fully grown.
Yeah.
Like you're still kind of like, well, I mean, I hope he puts on another 5 inches, surely.
And 20 pounds at least.
Yeah, and just a lot of muscle, and not, I just that amazes me that they were willing to like invest in him that early.
Well, I think it's like the version of like travel, baseball and travel football here. Of
Right.
like, these are kind of the entry points in.
Right. Well, and I certainly understand that, like that aspect of like,
Because he wasn't like full on playing pro until I think he was 17. Like I think that was his.
no, but he was like under contract.
Yeah,
with
yeah.
them.
Yeah, yeah.
So either way, it just seems kind of like, yeah, it shouldn't, because obviously like it's a sport. So like the people who are really invested in the sport are going to be able to say, yes, no, that kid's going to be great.
Yeah.
Like look at his hand-foot coordination. I don't know, like eye-foot, I guess would be more appropriate. Like you can just see that he's got the skill set, but it was still amazing to me. Like it was that early on that he was already like committed
Right.
to a professional team at that age.
Yeah, it's really interesting.
Yeah.
But like, you know, again, even around here, I know like the big basketball team in our area is the Magic. They have a lot of like, I don't want to call them farm teams, but a lot of entry points of like leagues that are associated with the Magic that aren't the Magic and aren't even like the D League or whatever, like the farm teams, but they're just like associated.
Right.
I know they scout people that way too. So that makes sense, but you're right. It's interesting to see it from like, I'm going to say a foreign perspective of like, I don't know a whole lot about that sport. So that's a little weird.
Yeah. Yeah. It seems a little odd. And like on that same kind of topic about how young he was is you can't not talk about his dad.
Yeah.
And how his dad was very, it doesn't seem like he was necessarily as forceful, but he was definitely one of those dads where it was like, I'm going to let you live out my dream.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to push you
that was made
along that
clear.
path.
Yeah.
You know, maybe sometimes when you don't want to, I'm going to make you do this.
Yeah. Like,
because it's my passion.
At some
and
point,
hopefully it remains your passion.
At some point, like I don't know if it was Beckham or his dad, but he basically said like, yeah, I was out even when it was pouring rain, not because I wanted to, but because like I felt like I had to.
Yeah.
You know, I was dribbling the ball or whatever, whatever it's called. That sounds right.
Skipping the ball.
I was hitting the ball with my my forehead.
Right.
You know, it's pouring rain because it's England.
Right. Practicing corner shots or whatever.
Yeah. Bending it.
Yeah. Bending that thing. Anytime they interviewed his parents in those first few episodes, their take on things was really interesting and then refreshing too. That like they clearly really didn't come from anything.
Yeah.
You know, like they were not sports people. It literally was just like a talent that they helped grow.
Yeah.
Within Beckham himself.
I mean, I'm sure there's some natural talent, but it was very clear. Like, no, he worked at this.
Yeah. Yeah. It was something that he was like. I think it was like in a way very similar to a Tiger Woods story of yes, you were pushed and you were made to practice every day, but look at what you accomplished out of it.
Right.
You know? So it's one of those things of like, as a parent, man, that's a hard thing to continuously push on your kid.
I agree. The only thing that I take away from that is being sad, and you can see it in Beckham's eyes when he talks about. There's a line where he talks about like, my dad never really said good job.
Right.
And his mom, like it cuts to his mom and she's like, yeah, I forget what his dad's name is, but he's like, yeah, he was hard on him.
Yeah.
And like, he would never really tell him good job or like, you did a good thing.
Right.
And you could see,
because he didn't want to become complacent.
Right. And he didn't want to like think that he was good.
Right.
And like, it's weird. Like, you know, he knows he's good. David Beckham knows he's good, but like, I'm not good for my dad.
Right.
And so like, I have to be better.
Right.
Looking at David Beckham himself, when he says that, there's like such a, wow, my dad never told me I was good enough at the thing that I love by proxy, or maybe I was forced to love, but he never said that.
Well, but like, you know, and even if they have had a conversation now,
right
after the career is over and after you've accomplished all these amazing things, you know, I'm sure they've had a conversation, but it was just like the realization of like that in the moment, I never had that reassurance.
Yeah.
From my father.
7-year-old David, like you didn't tell 7-year-old David, hey, you scored 3 goals today. Great job, David.
What if he was right? What if that was the right move? You know, like what if you don't become David Beckham if he's a little bit nicer about it?
Sure.
You know,
yeah.
Like that's a tough thing. Like I remember reading a lot of those things about Earl Woods and like pushing Tiger so hard and all the time and unrelentless. And is that what it takes?
If you want to be Tiger Woods, you have to have an Earl Woods?
Yeah, you have to have kind of a dad that's willing to not be your buddy kind of a thing.
Yeah.
That's tough. But I thought it was really interesting.
So then it shifts gears to his time on the English national team.
Yeah, he goes on
and the dude's a mega star at this point still.
Definitely a big star, and I think probably at that point in time they make it look like he was a prolific scorer.
Yeah.
That he was a great scorer in the game.
Well, like he pushed Manchester to their version of like the Super Bowl or like the regional cup kind of thing. Cause like football, there's a bunch of weird.
Oh yeah.
Cups. I don't really understand how that works.
I had to watch a YouTube video the other day, like trying to explain to me
how all
of it works. But like, there's like, every team almost like plays in like all these different leagues,
and then the leagues come together,
and they have their own like version of these different tournament wins, and that's what they were saying at some point in time. The triple that he accomplished, where Manchester United won 3 of those leagues, which rarely ever happens. You know, has only happened a few times, and what an amazing accomplishment that was. But it's so complicated.
It is really,
and it's like the whole concept of like regulation, and not regulation, relegation. All of it's so bananas, and it's so hard to understand when you're an outsider.
But as an outsider looking at it and like trying to wrap my mind around it, I'm like, but actually, that makes a lot of sense, because like if you're the best team, you're gonna rise to the top, and then if you're the best team out of like the English teams, you're gonna rise to the top.
So you want to go play the best teams
from Spain,
and Italy,
exactly,
and Germany.
Like that's cool.
Yeah, it's super cool,
because that doesn't happen in the sports in the U.S. I mean, it does like on the national level,
more closer to the concept of like world champion,
right?
That we just anoint all of our professional sports teams when it's just playing against each other.
Yeah, well, that should be like, okay, so all of the MLB teams, whoever wins, you know, I almost said World Cup, whoever wins the World Series, which is not a World Series, it's literally just the U.S. and Canada,
right?
But whoever wins the World Series, now you have to play against, you know, the best team in Japan,
right?
And the best team in Latin America or whatever. And like, no, now it's World Series.
Yeah, that's you know, soccer's like the only, which I mean, I'm sure they do it with lots of different sports over there. It makes a lot more sense once you kind of get a grasp of it.
Yeah. But he's selected to play on the English national team.
Yeah, the English World Cup team. Yep, and they do great. And one of his idols is the coach of the team, and they're having all this success, and they get all the way to the final, right?
I think so, or pretty close to it. I forget what year that was.
It was either the final or the quarterfinal. It was right up there.
It was against Argentina, right?
I think so.
It was the 1998 World Cup, and in the round of 16, which is like before the quarterfinals, maybe that is the quarterfinals, I can't remember. But when England played Argentina, which I didn't realize England and Argentina was such a huge rivalry, but it makes sense because like the Falkland Wars and there's a lot of bad blood between England and Argentina. They were tied 2-2, and Beckham gets a red card for basically kicking a guy, which when you see the video, he definitely does, but the dude, and the other guy, whoever he kicks, like mentions later, like, oh no, like I totally flopped.
Oh yeah.
Like this is all like histrionics and acting. But he gets a red card.
Yeah. Gets kicked out of the game.
And ultimately, like because that's what a red card, And I don't have to explain red card.
Yeah. I mean, he's removed from the game.
And then England goes on to lose that game in a penalty shootout.
It goes to penalty shots. And, you know, because he was such a great scorer, everybody's like, well, had you been there and been able to take a shot, we probably make a goal.
And it's because the coach raked his name over the coals, like dragged him through the mud, basically. And he essentially said, if it weren't for Beckham, we would have won.
Yeah, saying that it was such a selfish move on his part, in which, you know, granted, I would think 1998 would have been late enough that, like, obviously not that they would have had instant replay put in place yet. Obviously, like, I mean, they had the camera footage. You could see it.
But I don't think they were watching.
But you just would have think people would have been rational enough to be able to look at that and see the replay. I'm sure they showed that replay over and over again for months. That you would have looked at that and been like, you know what? That's ridiculous.
Yeah, but
it's ridiculous that he got the red card, that he got kicked out. Like, granted, you can see that it was a movement out of frustration.
Yes.
I'm pissed off that you just tripped me and like laid on me for a second.
That's
or
what
something.
happened. Yeah, I think
he like goes to kick him off of him and doesn't really ever make contact with him. Just kind of like
looks
convulses, you know, a little bit, and the guy falls over. So the fact that there's no way to fix that in the moment.
Yeah.
But then for the coach to come out and basically attribute blame to Beckham specifically, as to a reason for losing, of you lost your cool, and that's not a
professional thing. Yeah.
Not a professional, not an English thing. That's not something that we pride ourselves on, you know, staying calm. And
it's clear that in the moment where the coach when the coach says that it's it's a right immediately post game interview.
Yeah.
So the coach,
it's on the field.
Yeah. The coach doesn't have, my assumption is he doesn't have the ability to see that, and he never recants on what he says from my understanding.
Yeah. They don't present
and so
it that
like
way.
in the heat of the moment, it makes sense of what he says, because you want someone to blame. You want to blame something. But to me,
just as long as it's not me.
Well, to me,
I don't want anybody to blame me.
It was
so
just
anywhere I can divert blame, sure.
So it was just as he put it, non-English of himself to then heap the blame on David Beckham.
Yeah.
Not that I have, any like huge understanding of what it means to be prim and proper English.
Right.
But like you did the same thing to him.
Yeah. I mean, for as much college football as I watch, that's the first thing any college football coach will immediately say. You lost today. Whose fault? Oh, it was absolutely. It starts with me. It's my fault,
right?
Because I think that's just where they've all learned. Like you're the head coach.
Yeah,
the blame starts with you. You didn't have the players ready,
right?
You didn't have the coaching staff ready.
Absolutely.
We did this wrong. It has nothing to do with the players. If we were better coaches, we would have won.
Yeah. And I think like you also see that in the majority of, even professional sports as a whole,
right?
Where, they will talk about certain players and certain things that happen, but for the most part, it was my decision.
Yeah, it's never an individual thing. And the fact that he used a player's name was, wow.
On a national scale, in a relatively small country who lives, breathes, and dies football.
Yeah.
And you just rake this dude's name through the mud.
Yeah.
To the point of like right after that, they discuss like death threats. He, in that same period, had his first kid.
Yeah.
And like people were threatening Victoria Beckham and David Beckham and the kid.
Yep.
And like people were just losing their mind.
Yeah. That's the level of fandom that I just have never understood.
Yeah, me neither.
How you allow this thing, this sport, this activity to so dominate. And I get frustrated at myself. Like, if I'm watching a game and my team loses that game, like I get so mad at myself for how frustrating and how disappointed you are, where it's just like, come on, it's not that big a deal. Like they lost, bummer.
Yeah.
We'll get them next time. You know, that sort of thing. But like you get so frustrated. So like I can certainly understand it, but to the level that people take it, is just mind blowing to me. And what it seemed like there, where it was like a huge percentage of the country, felt that angry, and not even at the team that beat you, just at this guy,
David Beckham
guy on
himself.
your team, And I mean, he became like the most hated man in England,
literally. Like, and when he was back playing for Man U, like people were just yelling at him and cussing at him the entire time. This is a football game.
Yeah, and unfortunate that it was, in a World Cup where you're representing your country, but then you have to come back after that and play for your team that then has to go around the country and play games.
Yeah.
And everybody at every single one of those stadiums was just out to just rip you apart.
In terms of like, I obviously I hate that happened to him,
right?
But I love how he, I guess, discusses how it affected him. And the teammates that they interview from that time period are like, like obviously it affected him, but he tried not to let it internal. Like he's someone who can let it kind of bounce off of him.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's entirely true in hindsight, because he chokes up a pretty good amount through this entire thing. Like very rarely close to tears, but there's like a it affected me kind of thing.
Yeah.
But he talks about like, so what I did is I took that and I used that and fueled me. I fueled being a better football player because of it.
It's the classic like stiff upper lip.
Yep.
Like just be the better person, which is so great too, based off of like it was just this moment of frustration that I lashed out.
Yep.
And tried to hit the guy, and whether you did or not, that was what it was just a moment where you lost your cool.
Yep.
So then to be able to internalize a country's frustration and vitriol and absolute toxic energy at you, to be able to just calmly accept it and let it hit you and just continue to move forward, incredible.
And in that moment, like watching that, and you kind of said this when you were telling me to watch it, in that moment I was like, whoa, I actually really like you.
Yeah.
Like I think there were a couple moments like that, and that was the first one of like, whoa, you could have very easily turned to the crowd and flicked everybody off, and
that would have been kind of like what you would expect to see, especially here. I just watched a video the other day of like baseball player, batter has a ball thrown behind him, and he immediately like goes straight for the pitcher.
Yeah,
big brawl. Then that dude comes out of it fingers up, flicking everybody off. Like that's what you expect to see in that.
Sure.
But no,
he keeps playing.
Yeah.
Doesn't.
Epic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like, whoa. Like your entire country hates you.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay.
Right. Yeah.
Like that.
And clearly not that it just didn't bother him.
Right.
But he wouldn't allow it to show.
Right. That's perfect. Yeah. Like, exactly. Like it was very clear.
It hurt him.
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah.
But I can't let this show here.
Yeah.
I might, break down at home, and they kind of talk about that. But yeah, immense respect for that. And then there's this sense of, I mean, obviously there's a lot that goes on. I don't want to recount everything, but one of my big takeaways through all of the fame and all of the money and all of the notoriety, it seems as if he's still just David.
Yeah. Yeah, that was another big takeaway for me. We're like, I liked every episode seemed to start with like a good 5-10 minute intro of him just kind of being like day to day.
Yeah.
Like what is your day like now?
Humanizing him a bit.
Yeah. And he's very much a perfectionist.
Yes.
Very clearly.
Yes.
I mean, certainly to be, I think, that level of professional athlete and like, worldwide known brand, not just a person, but a brand, which was a cool conversation that they had early on of like, I don't want to be just a soccer player. I need to have a brand.
Yep. Conscious decision. Cool. Yeah, that's cool.
But like how he would like adjust the chairs at the table so that they were perfect. And then he said that he would go around every night and clip the wicks of the candles.
Yeah, and wipe out the candles.
Yeah,
because of the ash on the inside of the candle.
Which I'm a total nerd. Like I love candles. Like I love having like the aroma in the air, and I like the aesthetic of like the light flickering in the corner. I've never gone around and clipped the wicks though.
Nah,
that's not something.
The whole thing fascinates me because it's not only a look into one of the biggest sports stars of all time, but it's also a look into someone who is normal and as normal as someone on that level can be.
Oh, yeah. Like, I can't imagine anybody, or at least it's hard to think of somebody on this side of the Atlantic that if they had reached the level of celebrity that he had.
Yeah.
Like, when he comes over to start the LA team.
Yeah.
And he's having at a party with Tom Cruise and all of these like just mega celebrities to be that famous.
Yeah.
I just can't imagine seeing anything from anybody else and they still come across that genuine.
Yeah.
Either what you see is not what you get, and when you actually see how they actually are, it's a completely different person, or it's just there's just a different level of entitlement.
Like I was when I was thinking about that exact thing, I was drawn to two different people. I was drawn to Michael Jordan and I was drawn to Shaquille O'Neal, Shaq. While both were playing in that relative same time, now if you watch The Last Dance, which is a fantastic documentary, it's very clear that Michael Jordan is an ass.
Yeah.
Like and there's so many accounts of like he's just like he knows he's the best.
Right.
And he's an ass.
Right.
And I look at Shaq, who was like, for whatever reason growing up, and I wasn't a huge basketball fan, like I really like Shaq. And watching Shaq now, and Shaq, he has a show on HBO, there's a documentary on HBO. It's very clear that like no one ever sees Shaquille O'Neal. Everyone sees Shaq.
Right.
And like, whereas Michael Jordan, like everyone sees, I think, the real Michael Jordan, and he's an ass.
Right.
No one sees the real Shaq. And so like this is a persona. But I got the sense that watching this, that's David Beckham.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's different versions. David Beckham on the field is a different David Beckham with his kids and with Victoria, obviously. It felt like you could sit down and have a pint with David Beckham and just a dude having a pint.
And be pretty easy.
Yeah.
And would be able to relate to him.
Yep.
I don't think you could do that with just about anybody else at that level of famedom.
No. And maybe you're right. Maybe it's an English thing. Maybe it's a David Beckham thing. I don't know.
Perhaps a bit of both.
Perhaps. Speaking of both, we've got another bottle.
Oh yeah, we haven't got to the both.
Yeah, you want to get to it?
Yeah,
okay,
for sure. I've got just a spit left of the other.
Oh, I didn't even say none. I was like, nope.
I wanted a refresher right before I go back into this one.
Okay,
just to be like, all right, this is where we were.
Well, I got a little. I got a tiny little.
Where does the extra about 20 proof points?
Yeah.
What does it do?
Here we go. Did you hear that cork pop?
Mm-mm.
Look at that color.
This is lighter than the other one.
So this is the Port Askaig Isla single malt Scotch whiskey, 110 proof, 55 ABV. Again, non-chill filtered, no added coloring, distilled and bottled in Scotland. Everything that we said about the first one, but this is an NAS. And all of the stuff that I found is that it's about 7-9 years, which I think we mentioned earlier.
But it's a blend.
Well, to be fair, so is the other. It's just a blend of 8-year-old whiskeys.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. You could argue that about anything. Anything, literally anything.
Or that's
unless
not true.
it says single barrel.
Right. That's not true. It could be a blend of things with higher ages, but the lowest age is 8 years.
Yeah.
Or the youngest whiskey is 8 years. Ooh.
Wow.
That's totally different.
That's bizarre.
I don't get a whole lot of peat there on the nose.
The peat is buried under this like buttery.
Totally what that is.
Just like butter.
It's not shortbread, but it's like you took a shortbread cookie and you spread some margarine on the top.
Well, it's got the honey.
Yeah.
The honey note, but just like creamy, buttery.
See, you say butter, I get country crock. I get like legit margarine.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. Like butter like has a just a little bit of a depth because of the fat, I think.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, totally. Butter spread.
Wow.
Yeah, that's interesting. It goes that different.
And it's weird that like the peat is it because we've acclimated to peat?
I mean, I'm sure that's part of it, but I still get it. It's just buried.
The sweetness is still there though.
Yep.
And I really do like that sweet on the nose.
Yeah. It smells like an uniced cupcake.
Yeah. Shall we?
Okay. Ooh, delightful.
Yeah.
Very vanilla.
Very vanilla forward. And that oaky note is still there, but I think the proof overtakes that.
Yep.
And
it carries that vanilla and the sweetness with it.
And the bitter is not as prominent as on the last one.
No, not even close.
Yeah.
Like you really don't get the full sensation of the bitter till the very end. Once you finally kick the proof out of the way, then that bitter's like, yeah, I'm still here.
Yeah. Yeah. This is theoretically the same stuff, just up the proof a bit. And that's where that cap doesn't happen.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not saying it's complex, like super complex, but it doesn't like, it doesn't stop.
Yeah. And like the proof is a huge plus for me.
Yeah.
Like it definitely makes everything more energized and has a more volume to everything.
Yes.
Perfect. But it is all the same notes. It's just a different presentation of those notes. So it's instead of it being like the sweets, the honey, the vanilla right at the front, then completely overtaken by the bitter, it's a way more interesting evolution of those sweet vanilla notes. And then as the proof finally gives way, the bitter is back there just kind of hiding. It's like, I'm still here.
Yeah.
But it's never dominant.
The bitter becomes a support.
Yeah.
It becomes that like just last lingering, like you said, I'm still here.
So weird. Yeah, I mean, it's there the whole time. It's just like it's underneath everything else, though. And like my tongue still is kind of like dried out a bit by it. So it has a similar reaction there. But at the same time, like the sweets and everything are on top of it, riding that proof wave the whole time. And so the bitter just never gets a chance to really stick out.
You know what it is? It's toasted marshmallow. It's like one of those big chunky marshmallows.
Yeah.
That you done.
It's more just like, no, I don't think it, because it doesn't have that toasty element to it.
You don't think so?
For me, no. I mean, it's there. It's like it's been warmed up, and maybe got like a little bit of that golden brown on on one end of it.
Yeah, but it's
not one of those ones that you flambéed that shit and it's it's like charcoal on top. It's not that.
Okay,
but that's how I like my marshmallow. I like them.
Oh yeah, charcoal.
Yeah. I want that nice crispy outside.
I want the outside to like come off of the marshmallow, like all this,
and then I can re-roast it.
Exactly, that's what I want.
Yeah,
that is the superior version to me.
Yeah,
definitely out of the two.
Yeah, I almost kind of feel like I wish I had a little bit left of both. I think blended together might be the solution.
Well, that's rarely not the case.
Yeah, because I feel like if I did have a full pour of that, I think one pour is all I could do of it. because it is so sweet.
Yeah.
And the bitter never takes over. Whereas I feel like if you threw a little bit of the 8-year on top of it,
yeah,
maybe that bitter could cut through as the proof comes down a little bit. That might be the happy balance.
All right, same question. If you found a bottle, would you buy it?
If the price is right,
Yeah.
maybe.
Okay.
Maybe.
I would say I'd be more inclined to buy the 110 than I would be the 8.
Yep. Yeah, it's just gonna depend on the price of it.
Yeah. We got anything else?
Lastly, on Beckham, the coolest thing too was it's great to see somebody that went through what he went through and persevered, came on top, and legitimately found success whatever he did, wherever he went.
Yeah.
You know, there's a highlight when he goes to Real Madrid.
Yep.
Didn't work at first, worked through it, kept putting in the work, eventually found a way to find success with that team. When he comes to LA, same kind of thing. Doesn't really mesh well with the team here, but they stick with it. They find success.
Yeah.
That was super cool. But like, I think especially the idea of to have your home country, the country that you're there representing, to turn on you like they did, and to be able within 4 years turn it around.
Yep.
And be the captain.
Oh yeah.
At the next World Cup. Man, what a satisfying feeling that must have been for him.
Yep. Agreed.
To have come full circle. It was just such a cool story, man. To have not known anything about him, I was very overtaken by the guy.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed. And obviously he's not without his faults, but it's that like, wow, I like you now.
Yeah, I respect you.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep. And like I immediately started following him on Instagram.
Yeah.
Because I'm just like, you're a cool dude. You want to be best friends?
Have you heard about Dripping Stone?
Yeah. We'd love to have you on the podcast.
Absolutely.
That'd be cool.
That'd be fun.
What's your whiskey?
You think he drinks whiskey?
Probably not.
No, you think he's a lager guy? He's a
probably
lager
not.
Guy. I mean, he's drinking a beer in one of those episodes.
Is he?
Yeah.
Probably the first one he ever had.
Well, on that note,
guy looks way too good.
That's true.
His life's way too good.
Even
he's not allowing alcohol in there.
You don't think so?
Maybe sometimes. Maybe sometimes. No, I think he's a whiskey guy.
Yeah. 25-year-old
He's not
Mortlock.
a beer guy. I don't see him as a beer guy.
And there ain't nothing wrong with a beer guy. I see him as a beer guy. I see him as a crisp light lager guy.
A Stella.
Yeah, or Heineken. It's Heineken.
I don't see it. Maybe every once in a while. But I feel like I could way more likely see him in his sweater and ripped jeans, sitting in his mansion or in that gorgeous field at the end of it, sipping on a scotch.
That 40-year-old Boona.
No. That they gave to him.
Yeah. He ain't bought nothing.
Nah. He didn't need to.
Well, on that note.
On that note?
You got anything else?
No.
No, me neither. We'd love to know, what do you think about the Port Askaig Isla single malt Scotch whiskey, whether you've had the 8-year, the 110 proof, or they have a couple of their versions. We want to know, what do you think about it?
Yeah, absolutely.
We'd also love to know, what do you think about David Beckham?
Yeah. Have you had a chance to watch the documentary? Was that a good watch for you? Or tell us why we're wrong and it was a piece of crap. Either way.
Yeah, agreed. Well, you can get in touch with us through email. It's drepandstone@gmail.com. You can also get in touch with us through social media.
It's always one word, Drep and Stone, D-R-E-P and Stone. Find us where you like to socialize your media, because we've probably socialized some of ours.
Yeah, as we've said in the last couple episodes, we post there less than we should, more than we like.
Indeed.
But if you contact us, we'll absolutely get in touch with you.
Yeah, real quick.
Real quick. And if you'd like to support the podcast, as we said at the top of the episode, we'd love it if you did. And you can do that by rating Drep and Stone wherever it is you find great podcasts. You can do that through our Patreon page, and you can do that by telling someone. I just ran through it quickly because we have to talk about it.
Yeah, we already did.
Yeah. Okay. Hey, buddy.
Hey, buddy.
May your glass overflow.
And your ass never show. Cheers, buddy.
Cheers.
I'm sure by the time you put it together, it'll sound great.
Let's do another thing real quick.
All right. Fair enough.
Is like high quality?
Yeah.
High quality.
Top notch.
Top notch even.
It's like that water of like once you've...
You get old fridge water.
Yeah.
Fridge ice.
Yeah.
Mm.
Okay.
Yeah. See, I've fucked it up.
Yeah, I'm confused now.
That's okay.
Because I feel like it's always, well, you can reach us at.
Yeah, but we're not there yet. That's not
We
supporting.
do the first three first?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we're just like, this is supporting.
This is all new to me.
It's not. It's just a different order. That's going to be fun to edit.
Make something of that. I dare you. Unless there's something unique and interesting you'd say about it.
Y'all shit sucked. No.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
So.
You want me to?
No.
Okay. I didn't get to make a joke. And now if I make it now, it's not going to be funny, but I'm going to make it anyway. Well, my stomach's doing all kinds of, I don't know if you can hear it, but it's like bloop, 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 bloop. Who's like a good
Some
sticky
of that Mary Berry pudding.
Careful.
Yeah.
Don't touch that pan.
It'll burn you. Cut that out, Nick. Don't leave that in there. White chocolate all over that last little sip there.